But there is, like I mentioned before, a couple preparation steps we need to take prior to attempting to download or upload anything to Learning Genie. The very first step, the most important step that I would recommend that you do is on DRDP Online, you would need to update your frameworks or confirm the frameworks that you have currently set to have data reported for. If this step here is not taken and its step does not match, the rest of the preparation skill or stuff that you do will be pointless because, again, you will not be able to upload any of your data if the framework templates do not match. So to do that, only the lead agency administrator has access to this specific page I am sharing here on screen. If you are not the lead agency admin, you might need to contact the lead agency admin. If you have no idea who that is, you might need to contact DRDP Online directly to see who that person is, because if you're not the lead agency admin and you try to access this page right here, it'll just kick you out the minute you try to access this page. Then you'll probably log back into your DRDP Online account, try to access this page again, and it'll kick you out again. So again, there's no really a pop-up message or error message in regards to that, but that's how you will know if you're not the lead agency admin, because it'll just keep on kicking you out every single time you try to access this page right here. Okay, if you are the highest person at your agency and you should be that lead agency admin, then again, I would contact DRDP Online so they have those ownership rights transferred over to you. But essentially, all you have to do is on the left-hand side of this page, click on the Add Edit drop-down menu, and you will select the section or label that says Agencies. After clicking on Agencies, you will click on this page or this button over here on the right-hand side, the green one labeled Search, and then your agency should appear right below Filtered Out. From here, you will see all the different age groups on the right-hand side of the page that you have currently set up in your DRDP Online account. If this has changed, you will need to click on this pencil icon in front of your agency name to then select the appropriate frameworks. I know that this year, there has been a couple more agencies that switched from the fundamental view over to the essential view. So if last year DRDP Online you had set the fundamental view for your framework and this year you switched to essential, you need to go back to DRDP and change that on there as well. Again, otherwise you'll run into issues when it comes to reporting because the templates based on what you select here and when you're trying to upload need to match identical, okay? So again, you will need to select a framework for every single age group, even if your agency does not offer services to a specific age group. For example, if you don't have infant toddlers or you don't have school-age children, you will still need to select a framework for every single age group. And again, the most important one is the one that you do offer services for. It will need to match the whatever you have on Learning Genie as the teachers are currently using to assess the children. Okay, so the very first step, again, before anything, just go ahead into your Learning and your DRDP Online account and verify, have the frameworks been set up or have they been updated in case in your agency you went from one framework type to another this specific year. Now, last year, the second step needed to be done in DRDP Online. That is still the second step this year. Slightly different, however, is creating the classrooms where your data is going to go into when you're uploading the child, ratings, demographic information. You will first have to have the classroom created. So again, last year, the classrooms needed to be added into DRDP Online manually, one at a time, for every single rating period that you are reporting for. For example, if your agency had 100 classrooms, as we do have agencies that have that many, you would need to create those 100 classrooms manually for the fall, for the winter, and for the spring. So it could get pretty time consuming to have to add those classrooms manually every single rating period. This year, DRDP Online has made an update to their system where now you can upload a spreadsheet that'll create those classrooms for you. So if you are familiar with the Learning Genie import and sync feature, how we allow you to create classrooms via a roster or spreadsheet, similar concept now with DRDP Online. You will now be able to upload a document to create the classrooms for you. And then you will upload a document that contains the child ratings and demographic information into those classrooms. So again, this year we're hoping it'll be a much smoother and faster process without having to manually create the classrooms one at a time. If you prefer that method, you still have both options. You can create the classrooms one at a time, or you can upload a spreadsheet that'll create those classrooms for you. Okay, but those will be the first two steps you will need to make sure are done in Drdp Online. So again, you will need to set your frameworks up for the new program year. And again, the frameworks need to remain the same for the entire year. You cannot change it. So whatever you report for the fall, you will need to keep for the remainder of the program year. So step one, framework selection. Step two, create the classrooms where this data will be going into. A pretty simple preparation process in Drdp Online. Hopefully nothing really to do manually, just confirm frameworks and upload a spreadsheet to create your classroom. So again, we're big believers in not doing things manually, just to leave out any possibility for human error or typos, okay? So that will be the first step on there. The second portion of the preparation will be on Learning Genie. So again, first step is preparations on Drdp Online. Second step will be preparations on Learning Genie. So for that portion, let me go ahead and switch my screen over to that page to show you guys what we will need to do in the Learning Genie page. So for those of you not familiar, this is our Learning Genie web portal. You'll just need to go to our company name with a hyphen, so learning-genie.com, and then you'll be able to sign in. And then on the top right-hand corner of this page, you'll see your profile name, from where the second option will be admin setting. We will need to go into your admin settings to set the export settings in which you want your data to be exported in. So the first step in Drdp Online we mentioned was to confirm what frameworks you will be telling Drdp Online you're going to be reporting for. So same exact first step on Learning Genie, but this would be the export settings. So that's the first thing you want to do in Learning Genie is verify what your export settings are at the moment. As I mentioned, I know maybe from last year, some users use the fundamental view, but this year they may have switched to the essential. You most likely switch the framework at a classroom level to the essential, but again, you may have forgotten to go ahead and also change it in the export setting. So again, we click on admin setting here. And then second to last option on the left-hand side blue bar, or the last option depending on your role, will be a label called Drdp Online Export. So this is where you set how you want your data exported or in what template you want it exported in. So again, you will see all the different age groups similar to the page I showed you previously on the Drdp Online. You will need to select a framework for every single age group, even if your agency doesn't service that age group. Here, you will want to make sure that the one that is matching accurately will be for the age group that you do offer. So if your agency is using or services preschool age children and you're using the fundamental view, then you'll want to make sure that for preschool here, you are exporting in fundamental. Otherwise, if it's something different, then you'll be exporting the incorrect template. When it comes to uploading to Drdp Online, you will get error messages because then your data file template will not match what you told Drdp Online you will be uploading in, okay? So again, very first step you want to do in Learning Genie is verify the export settings. We've already had users run into this issue where they changed the framework at a classroom level, but when it comes to exporting, maybe it's the old way, so when they try to upload, it just gives them error messages. So again, if you follow these steps and preparations that we mentioned to you today, you will have a smooth and easy upload into Drdp Online. So just follow our steps and you will be on track for a smooth reporting. Okay, so that would be the first part that you want to verify in Learning Genie. So that's one out of the 3 steps for preparation. Second step in preparation for a smooth, successful uploading would be to verify that the children all have the required demographic information. To do that, you can click on this Manage Children button over here on the left-hand sidebar. Now, there are 4 pieces of information that are mandatory to have in the Learning Genie system before you attempt to export your ratings in order to have a successful upload into Drdp Online. I'll show you guys those 4 in a minute, but I do want to mention that if any of these 4 are missing for any one child in your account or in your file, none of your data will upload into DRDP Online. So I want to stress it that you would take that extra time to verify that these next 4 pieces of information are filled out for every single child if you wish to successfully upload into DRDP Online. To update child demographic information, one of the options will be to hover your mouse over the pencil icon next to the child's first name. First page you'll see is the basic information page. Second tab on the top right would be the additional information tab. So from this page here, we have labeled with a little red asterisk all of the required information in DRDP Online to successfully lock in their system. So this little red asterisk here doesn't necessarily mean it is required in Learning Genie. This is how we help you identify what you will need to have in DRDP Online if you wish to lock in their system. However, as I mentioned, there are 4 pieces of information that you will have no option, but you will have to have them filled in this page in our Learning Genie system prior to you exporting. Those 4 are question number 2, the child identification code, not the state student ID. Again, the red asterisk is on number 2. So this child ID, every single child will need to have a child identification code before you export your file. Question number 4, the child's race. Every single child will need to have their race identified. Question number 5, the child's primary lead teacher of record. So in both DRDP Online and in Learning Genie, there are no limit to how many teachers you link to a classroom. However, only one of them could be the lead teacher of record. So that's who you will go ahead and put on this page here, whoever the primary lead teacher of record is. And the 4th option mandatory to have in the Learning Genie system will be the child's home language. This determines whether a child is an ELD student or not. If a child's home language is set to English, our system for the Learning Genie will automatically remove the ELD measures as that child does not have to develop the English language. So there's no additional work for the admin or teacher to be done. As I mentioned, our system will automatically take those measures out as long as the home language is filled in. If there is a home language set to anything other than English, our system will mark that child as an ELD student, and the ELD measures will be required to be observed and rated. Okay, so those are the 4 pieces of information that you want to make sure are filled in for every single child. As I mentioned, if you have 1,000 kids in your agency and only one of those child is maybe missing a home language, none of your data will upload into DRDP Online. You will run into error messages and probably cause yourself some frustration. So just take that extra time to verify that those attributes are filled in. As I mentioned before, the other ones with the red asterisk will be required in DRDP Online. So my biggest piece of advice to you is just fill everything in the Learning Genie system, export everything and upload everything into DRDP Online so that you don't have to do any manual work in DRDP Online. There are some agencies that only choose to input the bare minimum that we mentioned is required, but when it comes to trying to lock in DRDP Online, it is going to ask you for the child's program name, their tuition fees, if the child has an IEP or not. So again, this information would then need to be manually entered in DRDP Online if it wasn't entered in Learning Genie to then be exported with the rest of the information. So again, to save yourself some time, I would recommend that you just enter absolutely everything in Learning Genie and then just transfer it all to DRDP Online and simply lock your data in their system. Okay, but that's the demographic information that will be required in DRDP Online or to upload to DRDP Online. So that is step number 2. Verify that the demographic information is there, and there is demographic information that you can add in a batch as well. And you can always verify easily on this page what could be possibly missing. All these columns or headers here at the top are able to get filtered. So if we scroll over to the right-hand side, and you start looking for the column of the required demographic information, for example, race over here. If you click on this once and click on it twice, it'll show you everyone that is missing that specific demographic. So then you know this is a mandatory one. If any box here is empty, none of the data will transfer over. Same thing for teacher, same thing for language. You click on it once, click on it twice, and it'll show you anyone that might be missing the home language. Another popular one you can add in a batch is the teacher email. You would have to go down to a specific classroom level. If you click here on the All Centers tab and then go down to a specific classroom by clicking on this All Classes tab, you can click on the little white box in front of the first name column. This you'll see will select all of the children. You can click on this batch add attribute, and this is how you can add an attribute for anyone that might have a mutual attribute that is the same. Like I mentioned, the most common one is the teacher one, the lead teacher of record. Instead of adding it one by one, you can click on this, click on the teacher attribute, and then select the email or type in the email for who the lead teacher of record is if they're not assigned to the classroom, or they're the lead teacher, but maybe you assign them as a site admin in Learning Genie, whatever the case is. But again, you can add that attribute in a batch rather than going and adding it one by one for each individual child. So hopefully that can also be time saving for you, having the ability to add certain attributes in a batch, okay? But again, that would be the second step in Learning Genie, verifying that demographic information is all entered for the children. The last and third final step of preparation in the Learning Genie system would be to verify that the site names and agency name between Learning Genie and Drdp Online match identical. I can't stress that part enough either. Even an extra space counts as a spelling difference. So the spelling needs to be identical. To help you verify what your current classroom names are in Genie, you can simply click on the Manage Center tab here on the left-hand side, third option. This will show you all of the different centers in your Learning Genie account. So again, these names here for the sites, you will need to make sure or verify that they match the centers or sites in the Drdp Online. For example, if in Learning Genie you have a site labeled Escondido, but maybe on Drdp Online is Escondido State Preschool. That is two complete different agencies. Escondido State Preschool and Escondido and Learning Genie do not match. You will run into error messages and in terms of the site name. So again, take that extra time to compare and contrast. How are the centers named in Drdp Online and how are they named in Learning Genie? The agency name as well will be the one in bold here at the top. And if you need to make any changes to any of it, simply click on the pencil icon next to it to make changes to the agency, add in the state of your agency, make edits to the center name, whatever you need to do. Again, just simply click on those pencil icons and that will allow you to make changes to that. So again, third and final step in the Learning Genie is verify the spelling of your centers. We get that error message or calls in regards to that error message a lot. Because again, even by a single space or extra space or a slight typo, nothing will transfer over to Drdp Online, okay? So I'm gonna take a little quick pause here to see if there are any questions in regards to what I've mentioned so far. So to export your data from the Learning Genie system, you'll simply want to click on the label here at the top or button labeled Dashboard. Once you click on Dashboard, you'll click on that first option labeled Assessment Progress. For those of you not familiar with the dashboard is simply a live progress report that gives you the status toward completion of an assessment period. So when you see here on the top left an active assessment period, you should maybe see one or two possible active assessments in your agency, but you will only see the number of children or classrooms that are active in this specific rating period or assessment period. When you click on a previous one, this will not pull up the progress of the entire agency. It will only pull up the progress for the ones physically in that specific rating period. If you don't see any classrooms or centers in that rating period, then that means it might be active in a different one, okay? But again, none of these filters we are going to use at the moment, or this page in general for the DRDP Online process. To export, you would need to click on this blue Generate Rating Excel file. So again, once you click on Dashboard and Assessment Progress, you'll go straight to clicking on this Generate Rating Excel file. From here, you will see a couple of different drop-downs or filters for how you wish to export your data. You can export a specific rating period or alias here on the left-hand side. You can select from a specific age group. Let's say maybe you first have your infant toddlers that are ready to export versus the other ones that might be due at a different time. Or maybe you want to download first a specific center that is ready or a specific classroom. You have the flexibility to choose what data to export or what information to export from the Learning Genie system. There is a maximum recommended to upload into DRDP Online. And we hear that the minimum or maximum actually would be to export anything between 250 to 500 children at a time. So if your agency has like 1,000 kids, 2,000, I know we have an agency that's 5,000 kids, you will want to split that file or upload in batches. That way you don't run into any issues on the DRDP Online system, as it sounds like they do have a maximum capacity. Anything between 250 to 500 should be fine, okay? So hopefully that's how these filters will be handy to you if you want to export a specific age group or one center at a time, whatever works best for you. Once you have selected the rating period you wish to export or the specific center that might be ready to get exported, you'll simply want to click on this blue button on the right-hand side labeled Generate. Now, this is a new feature or a couple new features that we actually released for this time around for the DRDP reporting season. For those of you familiar with previous exporting from Learning Genie, or if you're a new client of ours this year, this is something new that we have updated. So a couple different things you will notice here on this pop-up now, the select Excel type, after you click on Generate, is that it'll give you the option to export the classroom information. So if you recall from the beginning of my training, how I mentioned that now DRDP Online allows you to create the classrooms in their system via the spreadsheet upload. Our system has now been designed to export all of your classroom information, how you have it on Learning Genie. So now you can download the classroom names. This will give you a file that matches DRDP Online's upload for classroom names, so that now you can create those classrooms easier or faster when it comes to DRDP reporting. Okay, so this is a new feature. You will need to, I recommend that you click on the pre-download check for these files just to verify what is missing. If everything is there, it'll say your information is complete. You can download your Excel. But again, I would always recommend that you always do a pre-download check of what might be missing before you try to actually export your information. So again, you have the option to export child data, the classroom information. Another update we made this year is now the ability to only export the children that are completed. I know a large number of our agencies have children enrolling throughout the program year. They'll probably be due at a different time than the rest of the classroom. So rather than exporting those incomplete children and having to manually delete them from the file, you can now go ahead and click on this box here that says only complete or only the completed children records to be exported, and that way you know that you're only downloading the children that are actually completed. Scores are 100% rated in Learning Genie, and then you'll proceed to click on this download DRDP Online format. We do have agencies that click on the orange one. This is the raw information, so this file will not work. You need to click on the green one that says download DRDP Online format, okay? So again, those are a couple new features now that'll hopefully be useful to you when it comes to reporting, because again, now you won't have to create the classrooms manually, and you won't have to create that file manually either. You can download that file from the Learning Genie system, okay? Once you've done that and you click on DRDP Online format, it's gonna give you a pop-up confirming the export settings in your agency. So again, this will remind you what the current template is set to and how your data will be exported. So if this doesn't look correct, you can click on cancel and go back to your export settings and change it to what it needs to be. That way you don't download the incorrect template or file for the framework. This also reminds you that if your agency is using the essential view of the framework, the law requires that you use at minimum the fundamental view framework. So you will not be able to upload any children with an IEP to Drdp Online using the essential framework. Okay, so that's what that pop-up confirms there. Once you click on confirm, it'll start to process those files. You'll see a little green check mark here. Once the information has been generated. Once you click on the download button, I'm going to show you an example of one. Rather than downloading first the one I just generated, I want to show you what it'll look like if there is missing information. So if there's missing information, it'll look something like this. It'll list out the name of the child, what center they're from, what classroom they're from, and what they are missing. So again, on this page, you want to confirm that question number 2 is not listed in here as missing. Question number 6, question number 5, because there's 4, and question number 4, the child's race, because if one of those is missing, you will not be able to upload anything into Drdp Online. So if you get this file here and you notice, whoops, there are demographics that are mandatory to have, I would stop the download process, go back to the child's information page and fill these in, because again, if you try to disregard it and still continue to download and upload, you'll just run into error messages, okay? So let's save yourself the time of having to come back to Genie, fill that in, generate a new file, download a new file, upload a new file. Just go ahead and do that prior, okay? So again, my file that I just generated is the one here at the top. But again, it'll show me if there's any missing information. So that is how you would download the data from Learning Genie and the couple options you have when it comes to what you want to download. Again, you can do the child data, you can do the classroom spreadsheet, and you can confirm that you only export the children that are ready to be exported to the Drdp Online. All right, so once you've exported your data from the Learning Genie system, these is what the spreadsheets will look like. So this one that I'm showing you here on screen is the spreadsheet to create the classrooms. So obviously it'll have the agency name, how you have it in Learning Genie. It'll have the site name, how you have it in Genie, the teacher of record you assigned on Genie, the rating period you're currently trying to export for, and the classroom name, how you have it in Genie. So this is the spreadsheet that you would upload into Drdp Online to create the classrooms where that data is going to be going into. So this is part of that second step on Drdp Online, where you'll first need to create the classrooms, okay? But again, Learning Genie will create this for you to make it easier to later just upload the child data, okay? So this is the classroom spreadsheet. The second one is the actual spreadsheet with the child information. So again, this will have the agency name, how you have it in Learning Genie, site name, how you have it in Learning Genie, the teacher you assigned, your classroom name, the child's information. It'll have the Drdp completion date. So the Drdp completion date in our system isn't the date that the children have been fully observed, and it isn't the date that they have been locked in our system. The Drdp completion date is the day that the teacher rates the last measure in the framework they are using to assess. For example, if the agency or the classroom is using the preschool fundamental view with 43 measures, on the day that this teacher rates that last 43rd measure, Learning Genie will stamp that as the day that DRDPs are completed. So again, that is the day that the score gets applied to the last measure within the framework the teacher is using, okay? And then after that, you'll see all the different information, such as the demographics of the race, home language, the scores. You'll see all the domains, columns of the measures and the scores within there. The ELD domain will have an empty box or empty scores for any child or children that are not ELD students, since you can't really score a child that doesn't need to be scored on certain measures. I know this has caused some questions as well as to why this is empty. That's why, because you can't rate something that doesn't need to be rated for someone. So that's why it'll be empty. Okay, but this is a spreadsheet then that you will be uploading into the Drdp Online system here. So again, those are the two spreadsheets that are exportable from the Learning Genie. Now, to upload your data into Drdp Online, let me go ahead and show you what that process would look like. So that's the final step in the Drdp Online system. So as we mentioned before, we already have prepared the frameworks in the agency. So from here, like I mentioned, I'll be sending you this step-by-step guide. We've already covered this information as far as the preparation, setting up the export settings, verifying what information is required, how to export from the Learning Genie system, what to review or look out for, the confirmations you will get, and how to download that into your computer. So now the actual steps when it comes to uploading, steps number 1 through 4 will be showing you how to create the classrooms in Drdp Online, and then the steps 5 through 8 will be how to upload the child data into Drdp Online. So again, the first step I mentioned before is you'll need to create the classrooms. So this is where you'll be uploading that file or the class data file that you exported from Learning Genie. On the left-hand side, you will click on the Upload Center tab, and you will select the class one that is labeled Class Data. Now, I know this has caused a lot of confusions as well, where class data isn't the classroom's scores and child information. The class data is literally the names of the classrooms you wish to create. If you're trying to upload child information, you need to click on child data. So I know we've had some users call in regards to trying to report their data, but they're actually clicking on the wrong upload field, which will cause the system to not recognize the template being uploaded. Okay, so again, this first step here we're showing you right now is to create the classrooms. So once you create on class data, you can browse for that file wherever you saved it onto your computer, or you can drag and drop it onto this page. Once you've done that, you'll click on that green upload button. You'll want to check your file for errors. This is the process where it'll verify that your agency name, the site name, and the teacher of record all match what you currently have in your Drdp Online system. Okay, as long as you verify that everything is entered correctly, that your agency name is spelled the same in both Genie and Drdp Online, site names and the email address that you assigned to the site in the agency match the same in both Genie and Drdp Online, this should be a smooth upload. It should say that your file looks good, you may submit it, and to confirm that, you'll click on this white submit button. After doing that, it should give you a successful classroom upload confirmation. And now your classrooms have been created. So now the last final step will be to import the data of the children into those classrooms. So that is the next step that after creating the classrooms. To upload child data, same exact steps and concept. You'll want to click on the Upload Center option on the left-hand side. Select the second option labeled Child Data. Browse for the file that you downloaded from Learning Genie or drag and drop it on here. Click on that green Upload button. And same scenario for this one, you will need to check the file for errors. So on this page or pop up here, it'll be verifying that again, the agency name match, the site name matches teacher, the classroom's name match, but the demographics aren't missing. So as long as you follow our instructions, you should get a green ribbon that says your file looks good. You may submit it. Same thing, click on that white button labeled submit. Depending on the size of your file, eventually it should give you a file successfully submitted. And that is it. That would be the reporting process into Drdp Online. Once again, no manual work on Drdp Online, simply upload spreadsheets, and then lastly, confirm the data is there and lock your data. To confirm that your data was uploaded, simply go ahead and click on Input Ratings on the left-hand side of your Drdp Online account. And then from there, go ahead and click or select the rating period you uploaded for, select the classroom you uploaded, and select the age group that classroom pertains to, and then click on Search. Once you've done that, you'll want to verify that it reflects all 100% for the children that you have uploaded to that classroom. And if it does, you can simply just lock your data and be done with that assessment. okay? So again, that's how you can confirm that the data has been actually uploaded into the DRDP Online system. As a reminder, we want to remind you that at this point, DRDP Online doesn't have the feature or ability to upload children that have an IEP or are being observed under the fundamental view. Those children's scores will be needed to add manually into DRDP Online directly, okay? So that's why a lot of agencies are avoiding using the Essential View framework for that reason that there is no way to currently upload a spreadsheet for those IEP children. So again, if you're using the Essential View framework and you have children with an IEP, those scores will be you'll need to add those manually one at a time directly on the DRDP Online system. Okay, so just in case, I know we've received questions from users trying to upload a spreadsheet for IEP children, but at this time, DRDP Online does not count with that feature. Hopefully in the near future, but again, right now, it will need to be done manually. Lastly, before we let you go during this training, we want to show you some possible error messages that you might run into and what to avoid or how to solve them. One of the common ones we've been receiving lately is an error message in the agency name. So if you notice here, the agency name matches identical. There is not a single spelling difference in it. 90% of the time, we've noticed that the name in the agency or error message and the name of the agency will appear when your frameworks are not set up or do not match what you're currently uploading. So this information here would be the information from the spreadsheet. It'll show you that the template you're using is the PSC, so the Preschool Comprehensive. So maybe in DRDP Online, you haven't set the frameworks up, or for that preschool age, you don't have the comprehensive view set up. Maybe it's fundamental, maybe it's essential. Whatever the case is, if you get an error message in the agency name, if you notice it's different, then of course fix it. If you notice it's the same, check the framework page to verify that you are uploading the template for the correct setting you put in the DRDP Online. So that's one of the common ones and how you can fix it. Second one will be a error message in the center name when you're trying to upload your class data. Again, your centers will be listed on the left-hand side on DRDP Online. If it's default site, if you're uploading a spreadsheet because Learning Genie has it as default center, those are two complete different sites or centers. So you'll need to make sure that everything matches identical between the sites in Genie and how the data is being exported from Genie and how it is spelled in DRDP Online. So again, the easy fix for that is make them match. Another error message you might get is if you are missing demographic information, as we mentioned before, you'll want to make sure that all the required demographic information is there. If not, it's gonna give you an error message. Then you'll have to go back to Learning Genie, fill it in, generate a new file, export an updated file, and then try again to upload your data. So to avoid all that extra work, just verify beforehand that all the demographic information is in the child's profiles. The last error message that you might run into, if you notice from the background of my screen here, it says your file looks good, you may submit it, green bar, and as soon as you click on that submit, it'll bring a pop-up saying error occurred, classroom and teacher combination does not exist. This will occur or pop up when the email address in the spreadsheet you are uploading for the children does not match the email address linked to the site or classroom in DRDP Online. So even though everything else matches, the classroom name was identified correctly, matching site name, all the demographic information is there. That's why it said that your file looked good. If you click on it and it gives you this, that is simply because the email address does not match. So if you do get this pop-up, go straight to your spreadsheet and look up the column that contains the teacher information or the teacher email address, because most likely there might be a child that has a different email address than the rest of the classroom, or there might be a typo. One of the common ones I've seen previously, especially when you type in the email address, was there was a teacher once that her email was ending in .org, so .org as in goat, but one simple child had .org as in cat. So when you look at this at a glance, it looks identical, especially if you're trying to scroll really quick through all the files. You wouldn't notice it, but even a typo with a specific letter will cause that trigger of the email address doesn't match, because obviously this is a different email address than what you may have assigned in DRDP Online. Okay, so again, if you do get that error message saying your file looks good, and then when you try to submit it says nope, you actually have an error message, then again, I would recommend that you go ahead and verify the email address to verify that it actually looks identical. Okay. And that is our training for today on how to report your data to DRDP Online, how you would need to prepare on DRDP, how you would prepare on Learning Genie, how you would export your data, and how you would upload your data as well. I'll go ahead and stick around here to answer any questions that anyone might have.